What's up, my Vina loves? It's Miss Vina D coming to you all from Vina-tainment News. For those of you who are looking for at Vina-tainment News on Instagram and cannot find it, my page was hacked and disabled by Instagram. I'm working with them to get it back. In the meantime, I am using the backup page at Vina-tainment News. Backup, you cannot keep a great and amazing woman down. I'm chilling. I'm not upset at all. I have YouTube. I have my website, MissVinaD.com. So I'm cool, but that's the page I'm using for now. And if you're looking for me, let's go ahead and get right into it. I posted the last episode on Bryan and Rachel, and I got this comment on that episode. Thank you for your recaps. I love R&B, and please document the interview that Dean recently did with them on his podcast, Help I Suck at Dating. You can find the interview downloading the app iHeartRadio. Bryan talks a lot there, and Rachel, and along with Rachel, they explain what they do to keep their relationship strong after the show is over. So shout out to Spanish 12AP1 for that comment. I did go ahead and listen to the interview. I did not have to download the app. All I had to do was enter the name in Google and I found the interview. But I saved you the time of searching through Google. Just put this video on pause if you have not seen the interview so that I don't ruin it for you. Click the link in the description below. I posted the entire interview on my blog page, so you don't have to go through Google as I stated. Click the link in the description below, put this video on pause, go to my blog page, watch the interview, and then, or listen, I should say, to the podcast. The first 25 minutes of the podcast is Bryan and Rachel interview. So it's an hour-long podcast, but the first 25 minutes is Bryan and Rachel. Just listen to Dean talk about his intro, and then right after that, Bryan and Rachel calls in. So you can go ahead and watch it on my blog page, www.missvinad.com. Click on Vina-tainment News and it's there, or click the link in the description below. It's going to take you directly to that interview. And then come back and join us and listen to my review. So basically, this happens all the time, man, when, people feel like they don't need you. Sometimes, they say messy things about you and are rude to you and forget where they came from, right? And then when they need you, all of a sudden, they want to be nice, humble, behave like they're genuine. Whether Dean was genuine or not, I don't know, but that's just how this felt, because Dean was very rude to Bryan and Rachel in the media. He said some not so pleasant things about their relationship, but I understand he was upset. He got eliminated. Excluding what he said about Bryan, this girl, this happened way back, July or August, July, something like that. This girl posted this picture, and her caption was, "Went black, but came back." And then Dean agreed with the LOL, to the caption or whatever. And then Rachel is hilarious, okay? Just like in the last episode with her being funny by recording herself going to work. This clapback. She's the clapback queen. She responded, "Send back." He didn't come back. Oh my God. So anyways, Dean went on Instagram and did this apology or whatever. This all happened a while ago. So these two, have had their share. So that's why I was like, oh, okay, cool that she did the interview, because, they've had their moment. He talked about love. She talked about love. And then right after that, he was eliminated. I get it, but he was not so pleasant to them. And then he also found himself in the comments on a certain post that were being negative towards Bryan and Rachel, which, the R&B hive, they call themselves, went in on him and shut him down. So now that he's trying to extend his little, fame in Hollywood, he was on 2 shows, and it's like, how do you return to regular life after that? So he was very smart by creating this podcast. And who does he turn back to? Of course, the 2 people that he was very negative towards. And also, Dean have a very very, very close friendship with Peter. You know, people always joke around on his comments on his page, and Peter comments on his page that, you know, they would make an amazing couple and it would be beautiful for, you know, the Bachelor or the franchise to actually, you know, make history by having two guys on there. So people be clowning Peter and Dean. They have a close friendship. So, you know, some of their fans was like, you know, why would you do that to Peter and interview them? But when it comes to business, business is business and friendship is friendship. You can't stop your friend business move, you know, because of whatever feelings. So Dean reached out to, you know, Bryan and Rachel, of course, because he need them now. And you know what? They're not trying. They are amazing people. They are great people. And they take this approach from this Michelle Obama quote that I like when she said, you know, when they go low, you go high. You know, here Dean, who's very rude and says some nasty things in the media to them, yes, I just sounded repetitive. And they agree to do his show, his podcast. It's brand new. He needs the ratings for, you know, this thing to stay on air. And they agreed to do this interview. Now, I'm not alone on this part what I was talking about when you need people. I'm going to go ahead and read this comment and then get into the review. So basically, before I read this comment that I saw, Dean apologized. He apologized to Bryan. He apologized to Rachel for some of the things that he said in the media. So, you know, of course, Bryan was like, thank you for the apologies. You know, we understand and we get it. Things happen or whatever, but it's all good. Let's go ahead and move past it. So, you know, Bryan always a stand-up guy. He does not get involved in all of the mess that is going on. So I'm going to go ahead and read this comment, okay? This person wrote on, I think it was either on Rachel's page or on Bryan's page. Dean went Hollywood pretty fast. The land where you beat people when you think they are down and of no use to you because it is the popular thing to do. But as soon as you realize that you made a fool of yourself, like the studio head that just got fired from his own company. She's talking about the Weinstein guy. Google it. I'm not going to insert myself into that mess that's going on. And you know that for a fact that you need those same people to continue making you relevant, pretend to be humble and apologetic. I ain't buying it. She was responding to, you know, other fans on Bryan and Rachel page. She, you know, tagged those two people and then wrote, I am with both of you on this one. He already showed his true colors and so on and so forth. So, you know, I get it, but, you know, after the interview, I saw a lot of amazing, wow, you know, Bryan is so mature. Now I see why Rachel chose him and so on and so forth. I only really saw one comment that and this person wrote, your loyalty to Peter was one of the best things about you. There goes that. I hope you have fun partying with Bryan. So as I'm going to give my review in the interview, at the end of the interview, Bryan told Dean, you know, I appreciate your apologies. I don't have no issues with hanging with the guys. Yes, it's awkward because, you know, we all were there for one woman, but, you know, she's my woman. We're good. And let's let bygones be bygones. That basically they had a kumbaya moment and we can all be friends. And when we move to LA, we can all hang out, party, whatever. Bryan, that's great and all, but be very, very careful, okay? So that's honestly my review. You know, 9 minutes 23 seconds. That's my review. Do I think that it was genuine? Do I think that Dean really cares? Is he really sorry? And whether if it's genuine or not, you know, Bryan and Rachel are not holding grudges. They don't hate anyone, which is a beautiful thing. They just want to live their lives, be happy, and be at peace with everything and everyone, and just being a bigger person. So that's kudos to them. All of the extra after this part that is leading up to 24 minutes, if you choose to stay and listen, that's completely up to you. If you've already listened to the podcast, then, you know, if you decide to listen, then thank you for being an amazing supporter, because it's basically just me repeating what they talked about on the podcast in my own way and throwing in my little 2 cents here and there. But as far as my review, what did I think, and the question that I was asked, that was my review about it. I feel like, I don't feel like it was genuine. I feel like Dean wanted help and knew that Bryan and Rachel would be the perfect person to give his podcast that extra help and boost. However, was the interview amazing? Yes, it was amazing. It was great. It was a wonderful interview and show, this beautiful side of Bryan and Rachel that we've all have seen this whole time, and how, down to earth they are, and then just Bryan and just how amazing he is as far as the way how he see life and things like that. So that's my insight. Like I said, you want to stick around and listen to the other, 24-25 minutes, go for it, and I appreciate you. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, but you can stick around and listen to the other, like I said, few minutes. So let's get into it. Well, basically, Dean asked them about, their relationship and what they do to keep the spark going. Rachel and Bryan talk about, dancing, going out, hanging out with friends, and basically just enjoying each other. That was that. Dean also talked to Bryan and asked Bryan, how did he get to the place in his life where he got in the house. He was just so confident, and in the end, he ended up winning Rachel's heart, and he's still making his relationship work. Bryan basically advised Dean and told him, first of all, you need to know who you are. You need to find out what is it that you want and that you're looking for, and then be completely 100% honest. Because if you're honest, then you don't have to remember the lie. I was like, okay, Bryan, you better preach. Yeah, he was like, just be straightforward. If you just want to kick it, basically, and talk to someone and don't want nothing serious, be honest. Don't go up in there and basically give false hope and false promises like you're ready to get married and things like that when you're there for something else. So Bryan was basically saying, the truth will set you free mentality. Be honest as always, and go from there. And the both of them, Richard and Bryan, talk about communication being a key. And Bryan was just saying, when you are honest, transparent, and communicate about any and everything, and have someone there who's also open and honest, then you will have a great relationship. Because learning to talk to each other and just putting it all on the table is the best relationship to have. And that's true, because that helped both people understand, okay, this is where I'm going wrong, this is what I'm going to do, to make things better. Dean also asked Bryan, if he moved. Bryan said yes, that he rented out his condo. He didn't sell it, he rented out his condo, and he sold his car and basically dropped everything and moved to Dallas, because he is fully committed to his woman, and he wasn't playing any games on that show when he said that he was ready. He's 37, he's had his fun, he's played what, he's basically done his thing, and he's ready for a wife, a family, and that he wasn't playing any games when he was there for Rachel, and he loved Rachel to death. His words, he said, I love her to death, and I would do anything for her. And so he made that choice and not compromise to drop it all and be with her, regardless of how it make him look, regardless if the fact that he's studying to get his license out there, get his license in LA and whatever, and she's working and whatever, he's willing to make the relationship work. And sometimes I think the reason why the relationships from the show don't work is people get caught up in the show, the glitz, the glamour, the lights, camera actions, and the theme and all of that. And as much as the time is limited, they don't talk about the key important things. They skip over certain things. When you're talking about marriage and a proposal and forever, it's for real. It's it's real life. It's serious. You know what I'm saying? So you don't play with that. So it's like, then the show is over and they become stubborn. They don't want to compromise. There's a difference between compromise and settling, okay? There's different. You can compromise on things but never settle. So the problem is, they don't want to compromise, they butt heads, they're stubborn. Yes, Bryan's saying, I said that I wanted and I want a wife. I want love. I want it all. I said that Rachel embodies every single quality that I look for in a woman. So if I have to, you know, turn into Monica, I will cross the ocean for you and go and bring you the moon and all of that, then that's what then that's what I'm going to do. Literally, if I have to, sell my car, rent out my condo, pack up everything and come to you, baby, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what he did. And he said, keyword, I rented out my condo, meaning that if he wants to say, you know what, the lease is up, I'm coming back, he can go back. For those who have said, oh, he got rid of everything and went to mush off of Rachel, this man is 37 years old, have, education and all of that, been working for a long time, have his own practice. I find it hard to believe that after all of these years, he did not save a penny, okay, and have money to live on comfortably for a while until he starts his practice again, when they do end up in California. I find that hard to believe. So anyways, he talked about that. So, Dean was like, oh, really? Yeah, you're truly committed. I didn't know that you did all that. Bryan was like, yeah, Then Bryan was very vocal in this interview. Rachel talked a lot as well, but Bryan was just on it. Bryan talked about how he appreciated Rachel for, putting up with all of his crap and still loving him through it all. So of course Dean trying to dig in there, what crap you talking about, and Bryan was just like, yeah, we're not gonna do that on the air today, and he was just, I'm not gonna give you guys no idea that we have, something bigger going on. It was just like, things that happen in relationships and whatever, trying to get to know someone, is brand new, you're bringing your lives together, things happen, you butt heads, but no matter what it is, Rachel, her love is unwavering. She's amazing. She's a beautiful person. I love her to death, and I'm just happy to have such an incredible woman like her. And I was just like, okay, Bryan, talk your ish. Rachel also spoke up as well. She talked about honesty. She's talking about Dean asked her what was it about Bryan that made her so connected to him and make her say, what, he's the one. And she was saying how she's a direct person. She's very upfront. And that she loved that about Bryan. And that's where the first connection came from, because he came in the house, he knew exactly what he wanted. And she was saying that he did not just talk the talk, he walked the walk. He wasn't just selling her a dream, hoping that she will buy it, and then when it came to manifesting those dreams into reality, then it was like, exactly. Like, he talked to talk and he walked to walk, and she knew that he was the one from there, because she herself, she's a very straightforward and to the point and blunt person, and she loved that about Bryan. And basically they talk about, being comfortable in your own skin, and Bryan was talking about how he have a woman in Rachel who's very patient. Dean asked them what is one thing in the relationship that they feel like they have to work on. They talk about lateness, that both of them, that time management skills is messed up, and they have to work on that, because one person have to take the responsibility and say, what, okay, I'm going to make sure that we are on time. So that time management is like their biggest problem in the relationship, and then they're working on that. So I mean, if that's the biggest problem in the relationship, then kudos to them, because it's not a issue to the point where it's going to lead to anything big, and Rachel did talk about social media, or the backlash, or the hate. Dean talked to them about dealing with social media. And Rachel, she said that it was difficult, at the beginning. She's saying that, she's a very private person when it comes to her relationship. So this whole situation was very new for her. And then to be attacked constantly, by total stranger, it was very difficult. But she's saying that, and Bryan also said a reason why they were able to get through it is because they were able to sit down and talk through it, like really be honest, admit their feelings, and talk through all of the BS. And that communication have been nothing but the key for them to really getting over everything in a situation that's, been going on. So also, Dean, or not Dean, but Bryan and Rachel did give Dean, some good advices. Bryan did, talk about Dean being, he was like 25, 26 years old when he was on the show. So Bryan was like, the reason why, he and Rachel also really work well together. He's 37, now Rachel is 32. And they're just in a space in their lives where they know exactly what they want, where they want to go, and they're ready to settle down. Rachel said that had she met Bryan 3 years ago, they probably wouldn't be at the level that they are today. She would not have been dating him because 3 years ago she wasn't in the mindset and ready for an amazing man like Bryan. Bryan said the same thing, if it was a few years ago, when he was in a certain stage, he probably wouldn't have been in the mindset of settling down, and he and Rachel would have missed the mark, and that they just happened to find each other at the perfect time in their life. They also advised Dean to not be so hard on himself because, he just turned 26. He's very young, he's in his 20s, and Bryan was saying that to my 20-year-old, and Rachel even said the same thing to my 26-year-old self, my 25-year-old self. Yeah, of course. I wasn't thinking marriage, settling down, kids, and stuff like that. So they just told Dean basically to not be so hard on himself. But Bryan did tell him that, being straightforward, being honest, being blunt, not being around the bush, making sure the delivery of what you're trying to say is straight to the point so that people understand what you want. So Bryan was telling Dean that on his whole situation with Bachelor in Paradise, that he did his best to be straightforward, but that his delivery wasn't pleasant, and that he had to work on his delivery and how he communicate, with people. So, being straightforward was something that they talked about a lot. And being truthful and being honest and all of that. And also they talk about self-awareness and all of that. So Dean also asked Rachel what were some of the things that she saw in him that basically turned her off, or the advice that she could give him to improve on for his future relationships. And Rachel told him that in as much as she appreciated the time they spent together, they had a lot of fun together, a lot of laughter, a lot of great time together, that it's okay to have fun in your relationship. However, there have to be a moment where you get serious and get down deep and get to know the person, and everything cannot be fun all the time, because life is not what she said, blueberries and sunshine or something like that. And she was just saying that although she appreciated his youthful side and his fun side, that it's real life out here, and when it came time to being serious, he did not want to be serious as far as the conversation and just going deeper beyond the surface to get to know each other. And she was just saying that he needs to find a balance in that when it comes to a relationship, that yes, have fun and all of that, but also take your time to get deep and get to know the person. The interview was very great, was sweet. Rachel and Bryan were very pleasant, especially Bryan. He's a very pleasant guy. Interview. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, my Vina loves. All I have to say is, it was Dean genuine and all of that. I don't know. But, Bryan, when you go out there and, just watch your back, be careful, especially trying to hang out and party with these guys who were trying to get your girl, and some of them had negative things to say about you. Be careful, because they are quick to Snapchat and Insta Snap. How Josiah was the one who Insta Snap Rachel and Bryan. Well, Rachel grinding on Bryan, which is no big deal. But then that snap was taken down instantly. So if you're going to hang out with these guys, my advice is be careful, because you never know who might pull their phone out trying to get you in an awkward situation. Next thing you know, videos are getting leaked. Rachel, Lindsay, Fiancé, Bryan Abasolo called in a club with some other, what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real. So you are a genuine person. You have a pure heart. Not everyone have that pure heart and is as genuine. So now that all is forgiven and the two of you had your kumbaya moment, just be careful. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end it here, my Vina loves. I'm wishing you all an amazing day. Remember to always have the God bless attitude, which is being positive at all times and seeing the good in every situation. Have a great day, guys. God bless.